So should you invest in a house or a condo? Welcome back to another episode of Gulf Coast Investing, where we talk about all things investing right here on the Gulf Coast. My name is Casey, and I would love if you would like this video and consider subscribing to my channel for more great content just like this. So I was on Facebook the other day and saw somebody asking, hey, we're buying a vacation property down here in Gold Shores, Orange Beach. Should I buy a house or a condo? So they want a beachfront property, and of course the responses were all over the place. So I was like, hey, I want to make a video to specifically address, because I do see this asked a lot, hey, is it better to buy a house or a condo? What's the differences in it? And things like that. So that's what we're going to talk about in this video. So the first thing that we have to talk about is your budget and the price. So if you're going to buy a beachfront home, you're going to pay considerably more than if you're going to buy a beachfront condo. So to compare apples to apples, because obviously a 6-bedroom house versus a 2-bedroom condo, obviously there's going to be a price difference. So I wanted to look up houses and condos that are beachfront and that are $1 to $3 million range. So when we look up houses, there are only about 8 houses available right now that are beachfront and that are in the $1 to $3 million range. And actually a couple of those were duplexes, so it was only a half of a house that was for sale in that range. When you look at condos, there was about 50 that are for sale in that range. So right there, that tells you, there's obviously a whole lot less houses than there are condos. So you have to determine how much you want to spend. If you're going to look at, some of those condos, you're going to have a whole lot more options to choose from. You may be able to negotiate with the seller a little bit better. Whereas the houses, it's like, hey, these don't pop up very often, and when they do, you're probably going to pay pretty close to asking price. Of course, a couple years ago, you were going to pay over asking price and things like that. So really depends on your budget. Again, you can buy a 3-bedroom house on the beach that may be $1.5 million. You can buy a 3-bedroom condo on the beach that may be about $750,000. So if you're looking at comparing the two, there's a pretty big price difference, right off the bat when you start right there. So the second thing, and I would say probably one of the biggest questions people ask is, oh, well, I won't have an HOA. So HOA versus non-HOA. So of course, a lot of houses, unless they're in specific neighborhoods, and things like that, they're not going to have an HOA, which again, they're going to be a little more relaxed on the rules. But also you lose some of that protection that a condo HOA has. So if you're in a house, you may have no HOA, which means you're completely on your own for certain utilities and insurances and things like that we'll get into in a little bit. But in a condo, you are going to have an HOA. So with an HOA, most HOAs down here essentially cover everything but the contents insurance, which is a condo insurance policy, and the power bill. Everything else is going to be covered in that HOA fee. So some people look at it and say, wow, $750, that's a pretty big, that's a pretty big expense that I have to pay every single month. So then we have to look at, but if you had a house that also had a heated pool, just like your condo has, and you have landscaping now with the house, and you have things like that we will get into, those things add up. So I like to always bring up this example when people ask. We manage one property that's over on the bay, and that owner also has a condo that's on the beachfront. He pays about $650 a month for his HOA insurance, or for his HOA for the condo. For the house, he has to pay everything out of pocket. So when you add up pool maintenance that comes out once a week, that's a big bill. He may pay $400 just in pool maintenance, all the chemicals and all that. Then he has to pay a landscaper to come out a couple times a week. He's on the hook for his own termite bond. He's on the hook for his own pest control to spray for roaches and ants and things like that. Again, he's on the hook for anything to do with the outside of the property. If the roof comes off, maintaining the roof, pressure washing, all that. And then on the inside, he's having to pay his water bill, his sewer bill, he's having to pay his cable and his internet bill. This day and age, that could run $200 a month. So all those things add up, and you start adding it together, and it's like, wow, excluding power for both, wow, he's paying a lot more, plus the insurance that we'll get into as well is considerably higher on a house itself. So when you start looking at those, you're like, yeah, You may pay a set fee for the HOA. It doesn't look good on paper, but when you compare apples to apples, you're going to pay just as much, if not more, for the same services. With the HOA, you pay them to one place. With the condo HOA, you pay them to one place, and with the non-HOA house, you're having to pay all these different individual ones. So another big thing that people ask that could be more of a negative for condos is assessments. So if you have or know or have visited the Gulf Coast, you know that assessments are going crazy right now. So an assessment is where a condo passes an amount of money. So this could be insurance. It could be an insurance assessment. So we're getting a lot of places, hey, the insurance just went up $1 million for the complex for the year. Or it could be, hey, it's time to get a new roof. Hey, we got to get new sliding glass doors. Hey, we have to redo the pool. And so they're going to take that amount, they're going to divide it by however many units there are in that condo, and they're going to issue you an assessment, which is a fee that you have to pay besides your HOA monthly fee that you are obligated to pay. So when you buy the condo, when you buy that unit, you are saying, hey, I'll follow all HOA rules, and I will pay all HOA bills. They can put a lien on your property if you don't. So that's one big thing with condos you got to look out for. Right now, there are still condos that people don't understand from Hurricane Sally, which was September of 2020. Still numerous condos that are getting worked on and having all kind of work and things like that done, chipping and pressure washing and concrete work and pool work and all that kind of stuff. And homeowners are getting hit anywhere from $5,000, some are a little bit less, a couple thousand, all the way up to $15,000, $20,000 assessments that they have to pay. So definitely a negative. But of course, if you are on the other side, you own the house, then you're paying for everything outright yourself. So if you have to get a new roof and the insurance only covers part of it or none of it, you're essentially having that assessment still where you're having to pay for it all. If you have to get the pool replastered, you're paying for all that yourself. When you have a house, you're just obviously a little bit more flexible, and you can choose to wait and put off some of those things. Hey, I'm going to wait a year before I update the landscaping, or before I get a new roof, or before I build a new deck. You can kind of pick and choose when you want to pay those things. Whereas if you have a condo HOA, you're required. Once they pass it, you have to pay it. So the next thing is insurance. So again, part of your HOA fees is including the building and the property insurance, where the only thing that you're having to pay is for your condo contents insurance, and if you're doing any type of renters, which is the same for a house. So you're insuring the contents of the condo, and that's it. All the rest is paid for in the HOA, so you get to save a little bit of money. If you own a house, now especially talking about beachfront properties, those insurance bills are pretty high. They could go anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 plus a year that you're paying in insurance to own a house that's right, especially a house that's right on the beach. So keep that in mind. Insurance is going to be a good bit higher if you have a house, where if you have a condo, luckily you're splitting that again between all the owners, and so you're able to save a little bit of money. So your insurance is one thing to look at when you're looking at a house versus a condo. So the last couple things, we kind of mentioned them earlier, and those are miscellaneous fees. So the good thing about having a condo is pretty much everything is wrapped up, again, in that monthly HOA fee, where, you know, landscaping and things like that, that's all taken care of. That's all done in your monthly HOA fees. Again, when you have a house, just like we talked about earlier, you have all types of miscellaneous fees that you don't think about. Oh yeah, I got to set up a pool person. Oh yeah, I got to set up a landscaper. Now the palm trees are getting too bushy, or the bushes are getting too big. Now I got to call somebody else out. Hey, we just had a property that had fire ants all around the pool, so we have to call a fire ant person out there. Again, pest control, spraying for roaches and things like that. All types of miscellaneous fees that kind of start to add up when you own a house. So again, you have a little bit more freedom where you can pick and choose when those things are addressed and taken care of. When you have a house, when you have a HOA, again, those assessments may come and you're forced to pay those. So the miscellaneous fees can kind of add up when you have a house. Again, when you have a condo, you're paying for literally from the door, you're paying the inside of the walls. That's what you're paying for. That's what you're covering. When you have a house, you're covering the entire property. So anything that could go wrong on the entire property, the driveways, the landscaping, the foundation, the roof, obviously the windows, pools, if you have a dock, all those things you're responsible for when you own a home. So those kind of miscellaneous fees can add up, and that's something to think about when you're trying to decide if you should buy a house or a condo. So the next thing is cleaning. So it's kind of obvious that a 3-bedroom condo is going to be a whole lot easier to clean than a 3-bedroom house. 3-bedroom condo, normally, hey, the housekeeping can show up, they ride up the elevator, they get all their stuff done, and it's a pretty simple, easy clean for a condo. Obviously, hopefully the guests have been courteous to the property and things like that, but it's a little bit easier of a cleaning. They can get in, they can get out, that's all they have to worry about. With the house, when you send your cleaners in between guests, the inside may be relatively the same. Normally the houses are going to be a little bit bigger. A lot of houses you may be dealing with more stairs that cleaning crews have to walk up. You're going to have inside the unit, you may have a multiple level house where they're going to have to worry about stairs and vacuuming, 2, 3, 4 sets of stairs inside. There may be elevators, there may be a little extra stuff that you have to deal with a house. We have a house that we're about to manage that has 2 kitchens. So you're not going to have that most likely in a condo where you have 2 kitchens that cleaners have to clean. So your cleaning fee is going to be a little higher. It's going to take a little longer. Also, you have to worry about the maintenance itself of the outside. So you may have a landscaper come in once, every 2 weeks or things like that. But we live in a sandy environment. Things are going to, sand's going to get everywhere. Trash is going to blow everywhere. So you have to have a little extra in your cleaning fee to have somebody come by and pick up the cleaning. The trash cans, hey, good thing with the condo, they drop it down the trash chute, it's gone. If you're at a house, you have the trash can right there. You have to either have your cleaning person or hire a trash can rollout service to take care of your trash cans, wheel them out to the street, and then bring them back in. Again, we have a house that has pool toys and a grill outside and chairs, and there's sand that blows everywhere. We want to clean that off in between guests and get it ready for guests. So that's an additional cleaning fee that has to be paid to keep the house, keep the house in better order and things like that. When you have a condo and part of the HOA, they're paying for all the cleaning on the outside of the building itself. The landscaping, they're making sure things are blown off. They're making sure the elevators are clean, the bathrooms are clean by the pool. You don't have to worry about anything. So that's kind of a good part with the cleaning on a condo versus a house, something to keep in mind. So the last thing we want to talk about is rental potential. So obviously, if you're paying, for these examples, over a couple $1 million, you're going to want to make sure that the rent potential is there and that you can recoup that money and make money on your investment. So as a general rule, if we're looking at $1 million house versus $1 million condo, generally speaking, again, there can be certain circumstances and things like that change, but a house will a lot of times make a little bit more money than a condo will. So we talked about in a previous video Vicasa's projection saying that if you're looking to buy a house or if you're looking to buy a vacation property, buying a beachfront house in Gulf Shores, Alabama was just rated the first place, the #1 place to look. So a house can normally accommodate more guests, they can accommodate more parking, there's a little less restrictions. If you want to do a wedding on the beach in front of your property you own, there's a little more flexibility you have with the house, and that's why rentals will go a little bit up. We have one duplex that we're going to start managing here soon. The versatility is amazing. You can rent it out all together and have 8 bedrooms. You can split it out and have 4 bedrooms and 4 bedrooms, so you can have 2 groups at one time. The versatility is so much more with a house. That's why the rent potential is going to be a little bit more up. You can have, people that have dinner parties and things like that. If you have a big, nice house, if you're bringing families down, multiple families for family reunions, they're going to look at staying at a house. We have the Hangout Festival that's coming up in a couple months down here in Gulf Shores at the Hangout. So last year with our shuttle business, we did the shuttling for a big group that was one of the main sponsors for the Hangout. So he literally went out and rented an 8-bedroom house, and it took care of his entire team, was done. Well, if you wanted to get 8 bedrooms, there's not a lot of condos that have 8 bedrooms. So you'd have to get multiple condos and things like that, so your specific condo may only have 4. So you're only getting to take care of half the group. Where if you have a house, you're getting to take care of the whole group. So again, because of those reasons, a house, normally the rent's going to be a little bit higher, but again, the expenses are a little bit higher. So those are some things to look at. Again, I hope that kind of helped out if you're trying to determine, hey, should I buy a house and a condo? There are literally pros and cons to each. That's where I'd say get with your real estate agent. With a property management company, we love shooting out comps to other agents and to to investors and stuff that are coming down and saying, hey, you know, these are the projections of how much you'll make at this condo, or this is how much you should make at this house. So get with a hired professional, get with a trusted professional, see what they think, you know, play your scenario. Again, budget's going to have a lot to do with that, what kind of return you're looking to have. So take a look at some of those expenses. What are my miscellaneous expenses and fees and things like that going to be with the house? Take that versus a condo, what's already covered, but you do have that set HOA, you have the risk of assessments and things like that as well. So literally whatever option you go with, you should be happy. You did it. You got an investment property in the #1 place in America to buy a vacation beachfront property, which is Gulf Shores, Alabama. So whatever you did, you win. You'll be happy with it. But again, look at some of those things, assess them. I hope this video helps you out, and we'll see you next week.